Good evening, guys. It is almost Christmas. We are, of course, on Christmas Eve, so yes, not too long until the big fat man comes with his big sack. That sounds kind of suggestive. It didn't. I wasn't intending it to come out that way, but it did. So yes, if you are joining me, thank you so much for doing so because this has been quite. Let me actually bring that down because. Let me bring it up. Yes, this has been quite hastily put together. Now, if you are new to my channel, firstly, thank you for your support. Thank you for subscribing. Every Christmas, I do a live Q&A. It's my chance to kind of connect with you guys, and it has become a channel tradition. So yes, if you are new to my channel, thank you so much for joining me. And of course, if you are an OG, again, thank you for joining me. Your support is greatly appreciated. The original plan was to do this at 8 o'clock tonight, but I was informed by a good friend and fellow YouTuber, Pocket Rockets, that there is a Top Gear special on. And I thought, how dare they? How dare the BBC be so selfish and ruin my live Q&A? I mean, come on, it's car obsession for God's sake. You don't muck about with that. So yes, because I thought many of you, like me, would want to watch that instead, I thought I'd do it earlier. Now, this is a bit awkward because another fellow YouTuber, Petrolped, who has got many more subscribers than what I have, he has also done a live Q&A at 6 p.m. today. So yes, we are fighting for your attention, and I think I know who's going to win. But if you are joining me, then thank you for your loyalty. If you're not joining me, you know who you are. I hope you have a crap Christmas. Now, of course, I'm joking. I'm joking. There are many automotive YouTubers out there. It is a very saturated, competitive market. So, yeah, I'm sure many of you watch more than just me. I would expect you to watch more than one car YouTuber. If you do only watch me as your only one and only automotive YouTuber, then thank you for choosing Car Obsession. Right now, live chat can always be a bit of a pain, so let's make sure that is up and running. So for those of you that are watching, if you could just drop me a quick message, just to make sure A, you can see me, B, you can hear me, and C, that the live chat is working, because sometimes it can be a little bit problematic. So I'll just wait a few moments whilst one or two messages come through. Make sure you can hear me, see me, and that the live chat function is working. It's been a funny old year, hasn't it? A funny old kind of 18 months, really, what with COVID and everything. Yep, Reese Hawkins, all working, mate. Tickety boo. Right. Likes camera action. Brilliant. So, yes, it's been a funny year. A difficult year to summarize, really. There's been so much going on in the world and also in my world as well, that yeah, it just feels. I wouldn't go so far to say surreal, but yeah, it's been a funny old year. It'll be interesting to see what 2022 brings, both for the wider world and of course my world. So TV in the background was doing something, but God knows what. Yeah, so any questions, fire them through. I will answer them to the best of my ability, and I'll try not to go off on any tangents, but I can't make any promises. This is me. Just going to quickly check a WhatsApp message. Bear with me. Okay, I can reply to that later. That's not something that needs responding to now. So in regard to what's coming to the channel in due course, this coming Sunday I will be revealing something, so I'm quite excited about that. Something that was quite spontaneous, quite quite impromptu, and some may call it impulsive, others may call it insanity, but whatever you guys think of my decision, I hope you enjoy the content and the video that has come from it. From that reveal, there will be more videos coming, a different kind of content, which I'm quite excited about because I think that's something the channel needs at the moment, a bit more variety, a bit more a kind of breakaway from just the bog standard reviews. Now, don't get me wrong, I love doing car reviews, I really do. But sometimes it's nice to do something a bit more unique or something that's a bit more personal to the channel, I'd say maybe. So yeah, I love that stuff coming. I've also got Nissan Qashqai content coming your way, Hyundai Kona coming your way, Mustang Mach-E coming your way. I've also got a travel vlog from my time with Pocket Rockets when he had the Mustang Mach-E. By the way, he has tonight published our not visit, our trip in the Mach-E. Well, Chris Pocket Rockets, he had a very ambitious idea, which I'm not going to ruin here and now. I don't want to give you any spoilers, but the best thing I could say without giving too much away was it was a long range EV test, and it didn't go to plan. So yeah, if you're thinking about buying an EV, or you're one of these EV owners that thinks that they are the best thing since sliced bread, then check out that video because you may change your mind. A comment from Paul Robinson. Every Tom, Dick, and Harry channel seems to do VAG stuff, and it's getting boring. Well, that's a bit awkward, Paul, because I have a VAG car. Of course, I've got a Mark II Land Cupra. So yeah, but on the flip side, though, Paul, how many people do you know that have got a Mark II Land Cupra? There aren't many about, particularly YouTubers. I know there's one or two YouTubers that have got a Mark II Land Cupra, but it's not many. It's not the same kind of number that have, for example, a Golf R. And the Golf R is a very popular car, a car which, if I'm not mistaken, I don't believe I've ever driven. That may shock some of you, but I've never had the opportunity or been in a position or a situation where I've had a chance to drive one, which some of you may be gobsmacked by, particularly as I work for a German car specialist repair garage. In fact, I'm in my work uniform now, just because, like I say, this was quite rushed. I'm not at home at the moment. I'm cat sitting at a relative's house. So I've pretty much come here straight from work. I thought, you know what, this would be a good way of not killing time, because it makes it sound like I wasn't going to be doing this, but I was. But I thought, well, I may as well do the live Q&A now, because if I don't do it now, I won't have any time over the next few days to do it. Because of course tomorrow's Christmas. I don't really want to be filming on Christmas. Boxing Day, I'm seeing family, and then I'm doing all manner of other things between now and the new year. But in regards to your comment, Paul, it's difficult because the channels I watch, which by the way, I would love to watch more YouTubers than I do, but I simply don't have the time. My go-to channel is Car Throttle. I love Car Throttle. If my channel had a tenth of their success, I would be very happy indeed. And Car Throttle's mostly cheap car challenges. Yeah, I do like my Type R stuff. For those of you that don't know, I used to own a JGM EP3 Civic Type R, which I sold May last year to make way for the Land Cupra. And some of you may think that is quite a mad thing to do, because the JGM EP3 Type Rs, they're fantastic cars, and they're rare as well, really rare. Mine's a facelift version, which is even rarer. You may have some people tell you that there's no such thing as a facelift JGM EP3, but there is, because I had one, and I can prove that. But yeah, they are quite hard to come by. Speaking of Car Throttle, I've just got a notification for them. If you hear some weird meows in the background, it's Figaro, the cat that I'm cat sitting. Figaro! He's quite boisterous. He's probably run up and start walking all over the laptop in a minute. Yeah, so lots of content coming your way. I know I've started a few series which have seemingly died off, such as my Cheap Thrill series. Yeah, Car Throttle, I've just done a new video. It isn't my intention to let these series kind of wither and die. It's all about the availability of cars. So for the Cheap Thrills series, ideally, I want cars that are standard. And one of the cars on the list, which is a Mark 6 Fiesta ST, the naturally aspirated 2-litre Duratec, the majority of those are modified. So trying to find a standard one is tricky. Now, there's two main reasons why ideally I want it to be standard. First of all, is that it's the closest thing, well, it will be the closest thing to what Ford intended when they made the car. And secondly, because I work in the motor trade, my car insurance doesn't cover me for third-party insurance. So I either need to I use a company called Cover, which you may have heard of, CUVVA. And they can give you temporary car insurance, but the car needs to be standard. Or the other thing I do, which is what I did with Jordan and his Integra Type R, was I actually got put on his insurance, and I'm still on his insurance, which is crazy. So if I ever wanted to rock up and go, Jordan, I want to drive your car, I can. Well, providing he says yes. Figaro, I'm in here. Stop meowing your head off. You make it sound as if you're being tortured. You got plenty of food, plenty of water. Yeah, so that is a series I do want to bring back because I really enjoy that series. As much as I like doing car reviews, it's quite nice to do something different, something from the norm. So yeah, so just reading your comment, Paul. So I work in the motor trade, so I work in a car repair garage, and because of that, because I'm a very honest person, and I declare I work for the motor trade, I can't get third party cover. Now I know there are people I work with who have kind of bent the truth, so to speak, and said they're an advisor and in a retail environment, which I suppose to a degree is technically true, but it's not quite right, is it? So no, I'm a service advisor for a German car specialist repair garage down on the south coast. I've been there for just over 2 years. Well, yeah, I suppose if you take my furlough out of it, so I was furloughed for 3 months, then it has been, yeah, a little over 2 years. So yeah, it is annoying that I don't get third party cover on other cars, but it is what it is. I'd rather be honest and not be caught out. For example, one of the mechanics I work with, he had a modified Audi A3, so he had different alloys on it, coilovers, and a few other bits. Not massively modified, but modified enough to the point where you'd need to declare it to your insurance. And he didn't declare it to his insurance, and he had a prang, which wasn't his fault, but of course the insurance companies had to get involved, and it later transpired that they found out that he had undeclared mods. Now he's having to rock about in a lovely, is it a 1.2 litre Corsa or 1 litre? Either way, it's an old Corsa, which is yeah, not my idea of fun. Sorry, Corsa owners. Ugh. Definitely put sugar in that, but can't taste it. That's actually quite a horrid cup of tea. Hey, Pocket Rockets has finally joined the party. Trust him to come in and lower the tone. Thank you, Chris. Thank you for that. Yeah, in regard to plans for next year, if I'm honest, I haven't really thought that far ahead. And the thing is, with COVID, it's so difficult to plan things. I feel sorry for proper big productions such as Top Gear, the Grand Tour, and even to a lesser extent, Car Throttle, because to try and plan things in advance. For example, if you want to say, "Oh, we're going to do an epic Euro road trip to the Nürburgring," for example, that isn't as straightforward as it used to be. Not only have you got COVID to battle, but you've got Brexit as well. So it's a double whammy. But I would like to go to the Nürburgring. I've never been. In fact, have I ever been to Germany? No, I haven't. So yeah, I would love to go to the Nürburgring. In fact, I wanted to go for my 30th, which was last year, but of course, COVID struck and that knocked that one on the head. Yeah, which is a pity because yeah, I really, really, really wanted to go to the Nürburgring for my 30th, but it is what it is. Yeah, Chris said twin test with two mega hot hatches. So yes, uh, the year will start with a big bang because I am taking delivery of the brand new facelifted Hyundai i30N DCT. So, of course, it's the semi automatic. And Chris will have the brand new Ford Focus ST Edition. Um, WAN ring. I think you spent warning wrong, Chris. I don't think I know. So yeah, so Chris will have that. I'll have the i30, and then we'll be doing some form of twin test. Now, we really wanted to hire a track and do a proper test whereby we could do time stuff or drive the cars in a manner that we could just let loose and just let the car's hair down. But yeah, trying to hire a racetrack is a very, very expensive business. So we have tried and we have failed because the kind of money that they want is just insane. Um, sorry, just reading the comments. So yeah, unfortunately, Chris and I, we both work our YouTube channels on a very tight, limited budget, and we just can't stretch to hiring out a racetrack. So if you do know, this is an appeal. If you do know someone who owns a race circuit or a large area of which me and Chris can dig about into hot hatches, then please get in touch. I would be forever grateful. So we're going to have to do stuff on the road, which of course limits us because we need to drive in a sensible manner. Which is yeah frustrating because Chris will back me up in this. There's been so many times where we've had these ambitious ideas, but just having the lack of resources or money to do them can be quite disheartening. But that's the life of being a small YouTuber. One day, maybe we will have the resources to be a bit more free, have a bit more liberation in regards to what we are doing. That's a good word, liberation. I feel like I've just made that word up though. Anyway, moving on. I haven't got a lot of cars penciled in for next year, if I'm going to be honest. So I've got the Hyundai i30N. What else have I got booked in? Not a great deal, if I'm going to be honest. Next year is looking to be a bit sparse. What do? Yeah, that would be quite interesting. 2CV. To be fair, there's no point in bringing his 2CV. I can surely you can run faster than what a Citroen 2CV can do. Right. What do you think of all of the raffle sites that have sprung up recently? There's too much choice. Now, I'm a sucker. I do dabble with a few of these sites now and then. I like a little cheeky flutter. Sometimes I go on 7 days performance. Go, yeah, I'll have one of those. Yet to win, sadly. But yeah, every time I go onto my Instagram feed, the amount of sponsored posts, I think, how can they have so many of these raffle sites and for it to be a competitive, viable business? There are so many of them. I can't even begin to name them. You've got Dream Car Competition, I think. You got YouTubers that do them, such as LFF Games. I think Officially Gassed does one, if I'm not mistaken. I could be wrong. And then you've got 7 days performance, of course. You've got the Silverstone Dream Cars, the car competition, Silverstone Dream Cars. I think I've already said them. Yeah, there are so many, and every time I go into Instagram, it's like another one, another one, another one. Yeah, there are so many. I don't think, how do you even get one of those started? Because you need to have something to raffle off to begin with. You can't just turn up and go, oh yes, I've got this 2000 Fiat Punto to be raffled, because no one would be interested. Track days planned? No. I do want to do more track days though, so watch this space. In fact, I was looking at MSV and Open Track last night, just going, what could I do? And I think there was a track day at Bedford next month. I think it's 22nd of Jan. I thought, ooh, but before I do the next track day, I would probably want to upgrade the pads and discs on Leo, my Leon Cupra, because yeah, they are a bit spongy now. Also, I'm starting to get squealing from the front brakes. So, but the front brakes still got plenty of meat left on them. But yeah, the squealing is getting annoying. Although they could just need a good clean. Oh, is Figaro trying to come onto the table? I can see his little face. Hello, Figaro. You guys probably think I'm mad. I'm just talking to nothing. Ha! Here he comes. Are you gonna come and say hello, Figaro? Or are you gonna make me look like some insane cat man? There we go. He exists. Oh, and he's gone again. Anyway, will you raffle the Cupra? Simple word, no. No, I wouldn't do that. I don't think I'd raffle any car, in all honesty, not unless it's a model car. I've got a few comments coming in thick and fast. Thank you very much. I love these live Q&As. It's a really good chance to connect with you guys, and it's just a chance for me to talk nonsense for God knows how long. Many would argue I do that on my standard YouTube videos, but even more so in this kind of setting. Just reading Chris's comment. Do you mind, Figaro? Nürburgring. Yep, I do want to do the Nürburgring at some point. It's just a case of when, really. But yeah, I would like to do that. How are you, sir? I'm very good. I hope you're well as well. I hope you're looking forward to Christmas. It's weird because I don't feel very Christmassy this year. And I suppose I haven't felt Christmassy for a few years. I think as you get older, you're not really bothered about the presents or the big commercial build up. You're just looking forward to time off work and spending time with family. You get to a certain age and you just become a bit boring. Yeah, and for me, this Christmas isn't the same. I'm not going to bring the mood down too much, but sadly, my mother passed away in May this year, rather unexpectedly. She's only 52 as well, so that's no age. And Christmas was a big thing for her. She loved Christmas, and I have fond memories of having Christmas dinner with her, and then her producing far too much food, and then we'd be all sat there stuffed, or their trouser buttons undone, like, no more, no more. And then she'll come in and go, would you like any snacks? It's like, I've just eaten my body weight in turkey. No, mum. So yeah, so now she's gone. It's not quite the same, sadly, but such is life. We all lose people. It's just, yeah, life goes on. Anyway, this is all meant to be festive, fun, and positive. So let's move things on. So, favorite car racing video game? Good question. I like it. I don't get anywhere near as much time as I would like to game. I love gaming. It's how I spent a lot of my teenage years, in all honesty. I've got loads. Well, I say loads of games. I've got a fair amount of games, and I've still got some that are brand new in the wrapper. I just don't get the time. But favorite game, car racing game. Difficult. So it all depends on what type. Are we talking sim or something a bit more arcadey? I love Forza Horizon, which is awkward because I no longer own an Xbox. But yeah, those games are brilliant. I love Gran Turismo. I remember back in the day, PlayStation 3, I'd have my PlayStation 2, sorry, I'd have Gran Turismo 3. Yeah, that feels like a very long time ago. But yes. Let's see. You guys should have done the Land's End to Toronto Groats in the summer. Well, to be fair, I still don't think it would have gone to plan. In all honesty, yeah, and as Chris said, yeah, showed the flaws a bit more. So yeah, you ever done a review on a Honda CRZ? No, but I'd like to. I just think, hang on, let me just make sure I'm thinking of the right car. So I think I'm getting myself confuzzled. No, it is the car I'm thinking of. Yeah, I would like to review one because I don't know, they just pique my interest. I think they're quite not niche, but unusual. Unusual. So I haven't done, but I wouldn't mind doing so. So if you have one, then DM me. I'd be more than happy to give it a look. You are right, Chris. I am yet to try out your sim. Maybe we can make that happen one day. I can show you how it's done. I really don't know what's wrong with that tea, but it's hot, so I shall continue. Just quite a manky tea. Drive any road in the world, which one and why? Ooh, you are full of some good questions tonight. I mean, where do you even begin? I'm going to go with my gut instinct. It's the first one that's come to my mind. I think that's probably for a good reason. I would say the Stelvio Pass. So I think for me, growing up watching Top Gear, really getting into my cars, I'd say that's probably I would say that's hand on heart the first road I looked at and thought, wow, I want to do that. So maybe a bit of a cliche answer, but that's the answer I'm going to go with. Stelvio Pass, just because it's so iconic, and it just looks amazing. That's the first driving road that I kind of sat in my chair and went, "Wow, I want to do that." So yeah, there we go. Stelvio Pass. Um, Flat six, straight six, or V6? Oh, that's a good question. Why can't I have all three? Why are you giving me an ultimatum? Just I'll have all three, thank you. Joking aside, I'm not actually that fast. If I had any of those, I'd be delighted. Until I have to fill it up. Will you ever buy a classic car? If so, what car? Now that is a good question, guys. I have to applaud you for the questions tonight because they are top draw. And to be honest with you, I thought I'd just be sat here by myself because, like I said, it was very short notice, and Petrol Ped is doing a live Q&A at the same time. Yes, I would like to buy a classic car at some point. What I don't know. See, if I had unlimited money, I'd love to have a proper old school Mini. But as many of you know, if you're looking for even a shell of a Mini will cost you an arm and a leg because yeah, the value of minis is just insane. What would I have though? That's the question. See, one could argue my MX-5 is a modern classic. I don't know why I'm continuing to drink this. I think it's because it's just simply warming me up. It just tastes like hot water. Poor tea bags. So I suppose something like an MGB, and I like the MGBs, and I'm sure getting parts for them would be quite easy. I'm sure it wouldn't be that much money to buy an MGB, and of course the MG Owners Club is full of members, so there's bound to be someone who'll know something if something goes wrong or if something needs replacing. Oh, Paul, you got 1962 Mark 1 Mini. I'm not jealous at all. You lucky expletive. I was lucky enough to. I was going to say own. That's not really right. I'm doing this kind of typical YouTube clickbaity thing, which I'm not a big fan of. I was lucky enough to have a Mini for a short period of time. I had a blue one from Moss Europe, and sadly, before I went to film with it, I had to give it back to them because there were a few mechanical issues, and I have tried to reschedule it in, but trying to get a response from them has been quite tricky. But yeah, it's kind of like a sky blue one. In fact, if you bear with me whilst I faff about my phone, I will show you a picture. Yeah, really fun thing it was. Proper loud, really loud. I loved it. My neighbours not so much so. I need to find the picture on my phone. My phone, by the way, is just awash with various pictures of cars. So it's pretty much cars, cats, amber, Patsy, cars, cats, more amber, maybe some of Patsy, and that's about it. That's pretty much what my phone consists of. Figaro, be quiet. You're making a racket. Annoyingly, I can't find the picture for this Mini. I can't remember how long ago I had it. So I will continue to faff about for the foreseeable. I wasn't that far back. That's really annoying. But anyway, it's a sky blue Mini. I really want to show you a picture now because it feels like I'm teasing you. Okay, so if I go back here, I'm determined I will find it. It may take me half a year, and by the time I find it, it'll probably be doing the countdown for New Year's Eve. But as Magnus Magnusson would used to say, and that is a real name, by the way, I've started, so I'll finish. Right, that's when I had the TTS. So was it before or after then? No, I must admit, this is getting tedious. I've got so many car photos on my phone, it's not even funny. There's the Audi A1. That's Chris's Civic Type R. I give up. I'm just boring you now. I'm starting to bore myself. Just no. Too many car photos on my phone. Right. Okie dokie. Do you think the future of hot hatches is doomed and that manufacturers at some point in the mid to late term will stop making them as a result of the rising tide of electric vehicles? As much as it pains me to say it, yes, I do think electric cars are doomed. I wish they were. I do think hot hatches as we know them are doomed. No doubt there'll be some electric alternative, but I think the hot hatches we know and love are going to die out. If you look at the current market, it is quite sparse. So Renault no longer making the Clio RS. How long will the Megane RS be made for? Who knows? Peugeot arguably not doing anything. The 208 GTI is dead. I don't think the 308 GTI is in current production. I may be mistaken. Toyota, of course, have got the GR Yaris, but that is an anomaly. I don't think we will ever see a car like that again. What are you doing, Figaro? Hello. I can see him through the little window. I think a car like the GR Yaris will not happen again, not at least from a mainstream manufacturer. I think from someone that's a bit more bespoke, then quite possibly. Ford are, of course, still going strong. They've got the Fiesta ST, the Focus ST. Volkswagen has still got the Figaro. So he's trying to climb all over my laptop, like cats love to do. Yeah, there's not many hot hatches being made, particularly when it comes to don't dip your towel in my tea. It's bad enough as it is. Yeah, if you look at the super mini hot hatch class, there's not much, is there? GR Yaris, which is arguably in a class of its own, the Fiesta ST, and of course the Hyundai i30N. And I'd like to say a massive big up, big respect to Hyundai to entering a sector of the car market that looks to be dying. Like I say, Peugeot have pretty much pulled out, Renault have pulled out, and yet Hyundai have gone, no, we are going to make a small hot hatch, even though the market is moving away from that segment. So massive big up. But yeah, hot hatches, I think, will die, which is a shame because they are arguably, well, no, not arguably, they are my favourite genre of car because they're good value. They've got a good amount of power, enough to use on the public road without having your license taken away, unless it's something like an RS3 or an A45 AMG, of course, or an M140i. I'm going to talk about the old one, the proper M140i, the 6-cylinder one. They're practical. They're relatively cheap to run, and I describe the hot hatch as the Swiss Army knife of the automotive world. They can kind of do anything and everything, but yeah, 10 years time they will probably be no more. At least when it comes to internal combustion powered. F1 or WEC. I think what WEC is actually. I've had a complete brain fart. Oh, World Endurance Championship, of course it is. As you can tell, I'm not really clued up on either. I don't watch either. Formula One. This is going to be quite a controversial statement, but I'm going to say it. I find it boring. I used to watch it a lot when I was younger because my dad's cousin was really into Formula One and still is to this day, which meant my dad and me would also watch it as well. But I was watching it in the era. So Figaro is rooting through my laptop bag because he's a nosy so-and-so. Oi, Figaro, that's not your bag. Clear off. Leave it alone. Such a cheeky monkey. Yeah, I don't watch either. I did try to get back into Formula One a few seasons ago, and this is the question I always get asked: is, "Oh, well, were you watching on Sky Sports or BBC?" And the simple answer is I can't remember. But the commentary was so dull. I was watching it, and they were getting really technical, talking about tire degradation. I'm just sat there like, oh my god, you've got these amazing machines that have been engineered to within an inch of their life, and you're just like just spending half an hour talking about tire compounds. It's like, oh my god, this is so boring. I'd rather watch paint dry. And yeah, I haven't tried to watch F1 since. Although, from what I've heard, this season has been quite a spicy one, particularly the last race with Verstappen and Hamilton. A very controversial end to the season. Well, I'm falling behind on questions. Thoughts on this year's F1 Championship? I've got no answer for you because I didn't watch it. Soz. EV is going to wipe out hot hatches as we know them, but they will still evolve like anything. Haven't Cupra got an hot hatch coming out soon? Well, Cupra have got the Cupra Born, which is a stunning looking car. But I don't know much about it because if I'm honest, this is going to sound a bit ignorant and a bit narrow-minded, but when it comes to EV cars, they simply don't interest me. Now, that's not to say that I'm completely against electric cars, but at the same time, I don't get excited about them because I would argue once you've driven one electric car, you've probably driven them all. Now, I know each electric car will have its own features and nuances and so forth, but they won't really have a character as such because, of course, they haven't got an engine. For me, electric cars simply don't have a soul. That is a very, very bold claim. GR Yaris is overrated tat. Jokes. Okay, fair enough. I was about to go on a full rant there, and I was winding myself to go. Rah! The GR Yaris is an amazing machine, and I think everything that's been said about it has been warranted. You look at some cars, and they are overhyped. The GR Yaris does not fall into that category. That was the first car I drove in ages that I was properly wowed by, and it was a very bittersweet moment because I thought, A, I'll probably never drive this car again, and B, as a hot hatch fan, I'll probably never see a car like that again. for quite some time, if ever. Electric cars will be based on two things: its performance and its trim level. Yeah, pretty much. Top 5 or top hot hatches for you of all time? Lord above. How do I even answer that? I can't. I'm going to base it on hot hatches I've driven, because it's hard to pass judgment on something you've never experienced. I'll do a top 5. So even that's tricky. Okay, this will be in no particular order. It is going to be a bit of a cop out, but I think GR Yaris has to be in there as a default. Same goes with the FK8 Honda Civic Type R. Again, amazing machine. Bear with me. I don't know what Figaro's doing. Figaro, why do you keep trying to climb the walls? You're going to destroy the paint. No, it's not my paint, but still, someone's going to be unhappy about it. I don't know what you're doing. I've been lucky enough to drive the 208 GTI. So that would definitely be up there. That leaves 2 more. I'd say Mark III Focus RS. Yeah, that was a car I lusted over for a long time. I know that was not without its problems, but yeah, that for me was a car I was very excited about driving. That leaves 1 more. Ooh. Ooh. See, I'd have to say my Mark II Land Cooper, but that's biased and that's not strictly true. As much as he's a great car, would he be in my top 5 hot hatches that I've driven? Honestly, probably not. Though now I've modified him, maybe. Difficult. I don't know. Too indecisive to give you a proper answer. Do you think Lewis Hamilton was robbed of the championship? Difficult to say because I didn't watch it. From what I heard, it sounded like he was robbed of it. It sounded like the FIA just kind of made up their own rules as they went along to strip him off the championship. But that's a bit of a conspiracy theory, and I've got nothing to back that up. But yeah, it does sound like he was robbed of it. My biggest ever hot hatch letdown was a Vauxhall Nova GTE. I have heard of one of those. I've not driven one. I've driven the Astra GTE. That I was lucky enough to drive one of those a long time ago. That was quite good fun, actually. Love the fact it's got the digital speedo, just quite far ahead of its time. That's the expression I'm looking for. Have I driven any Novas? No, I haven't, because Vauxhall, they did have, I don't know whether they still do, they had a heritage fleet, much like many manufacturers do, and they did have a Nova in their heritage fleet that you could drive, but that was the Nova Merit 1.2, I think. I thought, I don't really want to drive that, so I didn't bother. SUVs have resulted in many saloon cars not being made by manufacturers, e.g. the end of the Mondeo. Good news or bad? I'd say bad news. Yeah. There are far too many SUVs on the road, if you ask me. But the problem is manufacturers will continue to make them if people keep buying them. It's supply and demand. If people want SUVs, then manufacturers will make SUVs. Personally, I think what's wrong with an estate. Back in the day, estates were far more popular, and SUVs weren't really a thing. If you wanted a larger family car, you'd have your estate or an MPV. Whereas MPVs, no one buys them anymore because they've got no street cred. Yeah, the amount of SUVs on the market is annoying, and for me, SUVs are not quite in the same class as EVs when it comes to capturing my interest. But after a while, when you've done so many SUVs, it's like, oh, I would like to do something different now. What are your thoughts on optional extras being turned into subscription plans like Remote Start, which Toyota tried to do? I don't like that. I must admit, I've not come across that before, but I think if you're going to have an optional extra, just pay for it and be done with it. For example, I use Final Cut Pro to edit my videos, which is an Apple product, and you pay one time, you pay a one-off fee, and that's it, you're done. Whereas if you were to go with Adobe's Premiere Pro, you have to get it part of the Creative Cloud subscription, and you're forever paying for it, which I think is wrong. Because, well, why can't you just pay for the product you want and be done with it? Why do you have to keep paying continuously? I know certain things like Spotify, for example, you have to pay for monthly, but I can kind of understand that. But when it comes to editing software, just let me pay for it. That'd be like buying. That'd be like that's a bad example. I was going to say going out and buying a Blu-ray, and you can't just pay for it. You have to keep paying. You have to pay for it monthly. But that's not the greatest example. But hopefully you get what I mean. But I don't buy into that quite literally. I don't like that way of doing things. Not for me. If you were on the market for an SUV, would you be in the market for a Puma ST? Yes, I would. I really like the Puma ST. However, there is a little bit of bias influencing this answer. But if I had the money, and if I must have an SUV, if someone had a gun to my head, I think I'd probably go for the Cupra Formentor, because I really like that car. Yes, the touchscreen is fiddly and it is annoying, but that is the first car I've had in quite some time that was always, and I mean always, turning ahead. Such a striking looking car. It's practical. It's good fun to drive. The only benefit of I say the only benefit, but one benefit of the Puma ST is that you do have a manual gearbox, which for me I love. But if I had to have an SUV, I'd probably go for the Cupra Formentor, because that car really is appealing in more ways than one. Yeah, and I imagine that's so tunable as well. Of course, it's got the EA888 engine, which is also used in cars such as the Golf R and the Audi S3. And I imagine there's so much you can do with that engine. Well, it's been out for a long time, so there are many tuners that know their way around that engine. So yeah, you can probably make it even more spicy. 310 horsepower out of factory, but put a map on it, and of course you've got the 4-drive system as well. So yeah, this is bound to be tepid now, isn't it? It's just about passable. I agree. I'm all for ownership as well. The argument in its defense is that people don't always use those features. Thus, it doesn't make as much sense to fully pay for them. Yeah, I can see where you're coming from. But still, the way how I say it is, you either want it or you don't, whether or not you're going to use it all the time. For example, if someone said to you, oh yes, so you're looking at this brand new Qashqai, for argument's sake, would you like a power tailgate? You're probably going to either say yes or no. You're not going to say, oh, well, I would, but I'm only going to use it one Sunday a month. Therefore, I'd like a subscription plan, please. The salesman will just look at you as if you're deranged. So the way how I see it, you either want an option extra or you don't. I know it's very black and white, but the world can often be very black and white. So yeah, I'd say just pay for it and be done with it. But that's just my view, really. I'm just going to finish the rest of this mediocre tea before it gets even worse, if that's possible. Actually, that's not even drinkable anymore. That's just... what do you think of the pay per mile once all cars are electric and no road tax on emissions? Good question. I'll be honest with you, I've never thought about it. I don't know how I feel about that, actually. I suppose on the one hand, it's quite fair because you're only paying for the time you're using the car. So it's probably a good idea. I doubt the government came up with it because it's a good idea. But I suppose you could, one person that does a lot of high mileage because they have to, because of their job, could argue, well, it's not fair that I'm having to pay so much more than others. But on the same hand, if you've got Doris who only goes to Tesco once a week to go and get cat food, then why should she have to pay the same amount as everyone else? So I would argue it's probably a fair way of doing it. I imagine not everyone would agree with me on that one, but that is, after all, an opinion. It's not factually based. It's not something you can measure. It's subjective. Don't talk to me about SUVs. I have 2 dogs and love estates. I had a 2007 Accord estate that was the size of a cathedral. The next model was SHIT and struggled to get 1 dog in. Yeah. I'm just laughing at his follow-up comment. I haven't missed out your comment, the aroused eunuch. I feel like it makes no sense for manufacturers to look at features that are already built into the car, like power mirrors, etc. Yeah, exactly. But no, going back onto estates, I don't understand why we've fallen out of love with the estate car, because they're so versatile. I know earlier I said that hot hatches are the Swiss Army knife of the automotive world, but I suppose to a greater degree that actually comes down to the estate. For example, if you had a Golf R estate, you could pretty much almost do anything in that. Yeah. So maybe, you know, the estate cars should be where we should be going back to. I wonder if there will be a kind of boomerang moment, or a time where people will come back to estates. Maybe people will get bored of SUVs, which, to be honest, I don't think will happen, because the Qashqai kicked off the SUV crossover trend about well, no, it's more than 10 years ago, because the original Qashqai came out in 2008, I believe. So yeah, it's been over a decade now, and SUVs are, if anything, getting more and more popular. So I don't think it will be a case where there will be a kind of full circle moment where people come back to estates. I think that moment's passed, sadly, which is a pity, because I think an estate has got so much to offer. Manufacturer with the least appealing range to you currently. Oh, that's one I need to. That's a question I need to tackle with some diplomacy. By the way, Paul, I've got to answer your question about the Honda E, so I'll quickly cover that before I move on. I did want to get a Honda E for the channel, but trying to get one from Honda was very difficult. And in the end, I thought, well, I've missed the boats now, so I probably won't bother. I think they're quite funky looking things, and they look quite small in pictures. But if you see one in real life, they're actually quite large. Not to the point where you think, is that a hatchback or an SUV? But on the same hand, yeah, they're probably bigger than what you may be expecting. But I think they're quite cool little cars, but one that I probably won't get to drive. Yeah, manufacturer with the least appealing range to you currently. Quite often, I like to go with the first answer that comes to my head, because it's comes to my head for a reason. I'd say Dacia. There's nothing wrong with their cars. It's just I don't look at their range and go, whoa, I wish I could drive one of those. Figaro, why are you meowing so much? I wonder if he wants to go into the kitchen. You want to go to the kitchen, don't you? I don't know why. You'll be able to enjoy it, but if you want to go in there, then be my guest if it stops you from meowing your head off. Yeah, I'd probably say Dacia, but I suppose one could argue it's a bit unfair because their range is so limited. But that's my knee-jerk answer, so that's what I'm going to go with. I'm going to disagree with you on that one, Paul. Yes, the CRV has been around for a long time, but you can argue it didn't kick off the phase of SUVs and crossovers that we see now. Now, I'm not claiming the Qashqai was the first ever SUV, because it wasn't. Far from it. There's been many SUVs before it, and there will be many SUVs after it. But what I will say is that that's the car that really captured the imagination and made other manufacturers go, "Oh, people want that, so we'll make something like that as well." So, That's a good question. I'll come back to that in a few moments. My guess is that estates end up having the same reputation as minivans, them being family vehicles. Also, crossover slash SUVs give people the illusion that they can do off roading with them. Yeah, um, um, yeah. I think that's quite a valid point. Although SUVs, I see it seen as family cars, so I'd say it's six of one and half a dozen of the other. But yeah, you're right when it comes to people thinking they can go off road. And one thing that annoys me that people buy these cars, and they may buy an SUV or crossover that does genuinely have all wheel drive or does have some off road capability, yet they never do it. Although I did have a customer in this week who's got an old Skoda Yeti, and he actually does proper off roading in it, which is fair play to him. Yeti wouldn't be the first car I would choose for off roading, but if it works for him, it works for him. Best thing or things about being a YouTuber? That's a good question. It certainly wasn't meeting Pocket Rockets. That's my low lights, not my highlights. I'm just joking, Chris. I would say having the opportunity to drive an array of different vehicles and being able to have some great experiences, and as Chris says, meeting great people, and Chris. Um, yeah, I'd say those are the best things about being a YouTuber. I'd also say connecting with you guys. That's why I love doing these live Q&As. I should really do them more often. But this has always been this has always been a kind of Yuletide tradition. Yeah, I'd say those are the best things about being a YouTuber. Right. There was one before the CRV, but I can't think of it. But yeah, like I said, there were SUVs for the CRV. Like I said, the CRV or indeed the Qashqai weren't the first SUVs, but yeah, the Qashqai was the one that made everyone go, "Oh, I want one of those." Subaru, yeah. To be fair, Subaru's current range doesn't exactly fill me with excitement. But again, they have got quite a small limited range, so there's only so much you can do. True, but the average consumer tends to think, I'd buy this SUV and go on all sorts of fun road trips with the kids, and they do road trips to shopping centres instead. Well, yeah, and that's the thing. That's how SUVs are sold. They're very lifestyle, aren't they? You'll have a video, you'll have an advert of people doing wind sailing or doing some kind of outdoorsy activity that people aspire to do, but will never do. Yeah, but car marketing is just a funny game anyway. If you've ever looked at some of BMW's Instagram posts, you'll see that. Let's just get rid of a YouTube comment. I'll come back to that in a bit later. I've lost my train of thought now. Yeah, if you look at some of BMW's Instagram posts, you think if this isn't pretentious, I don't know what is. Do you think it's the end of the super / hypercar when engines are replaced with a? I think you meant to put whirring electric motor. No, I don't think it's the end of them. It's just they will evolve into something else. Figaro, you're getting your fur all over the webcam. It's not the end of them by any means. It just they won't be what we're used to. That's the cold hard truth, unfortunately, whether you like it or not. Yeah, that's just the way how the world's going. Top 5 highlights of 2021. Well, it certainly wasn't joining you in a Mustang Mach-E driving up to Scotland. In fact, I still wake up in a cold sweat having nightmares about that. You know what? I've not really sat down and looked back at 2021 and thought, oh, what were my highlights? Because, like I say, it's been a funny old year. Jokes aside, Chris, no, that as much as that drive was somewhat traumatic towards the end, it was quite good fun. But I'll do it again. No. If you ask me again, I would I'll just use expletives. Top 5 highlights of this year. Okay, first one that's come to my mind. I know I mentioned it earlier, but driving the GR Yaris, for me, that was like, yeah, that was such a great experience. And in fact, it's difficult to kind of give you an answer. I'm having to cheat and go back through my my videos from this year to remind myself of what I've done, because yeah, it's so tricky. I would say the twin test that Pocket Rockets and I did with the Fiat 500 and the Seat Me, that was really good fun. And what was so good about that video is barely any of it was scripted. Of course, we had a loose plan of what we wanted to do, how we were going to do it, and when we were going to do it. But the rest of it, it just flowed organically, and that was really good. I'd say the Cupra Formentor versus Audi S3. That for me is another highlight. I really enjoyed that. Again, that was with Pocket Rockets. Another good, fun twin test. What else? It's just, it feels like I haven't done that much this year because of COVID and whatnot, but I have. It's just crazy what I've done so far this year. I'd say the track day in Leo, Snetterton, that was relatively recently. I really enjoyed that. Just being able to drive Leo in controlled conditions, just absolutely thrashing him to within an inch of his life was just amazing. So what are we at? 4? GI Yaris, twin test, track day. Yeah. Oh, I need to pick one more. Oh, the pressure. Oh, so difficult. Okay, I'm going to go with taking the Isuzu D-Max off-road. Again, that was a lot of fun. I love a bit of off-roading. I don't get the chance to do it very often, but yeah, that was good fun. And again, that involved Pocket Rocket, so there's a theme occurring here, which is bound to inflate his ego, no doubt. Where are we? Subaru are now doing a hybrid way. Pretty much everyone's doing a hybrid nowadays. Have you drive a hybrid or electric car yet? Yeah, I've driven a few hybrids. So I recently had the Kia Sorento hybrid. In fact, all of that content is now on the channel. Electric cars, yeah, I've driven a few. I've driven the Nissan Leaf, the Kia e-Niro. What else? I'm sure I've had another electric car. I had the Mustang Mach-E, of course, but that content isn't on the channel yet. I'm sure I've driven. I'm sure I've had another electric car. e-Niro, Leaf. I'm sure I've had another one on loan. I've driven the Kona electric, but that was the first drive video. I've driven the Audi e-tron, but again, that was the first drive. And did I film that? I don't think I filmed the e-tron. Or did I? I can't remember. Yes, I've driven a few. I had the Ford Cougar plug-in hybrid a while back. Well, I say a while back, that wasn't actually that long ago. So yeah, I've driven a few hybrids and electric vehicles. Well, I agree on car marketing has always been a live your dreams sort of thing. I'd argue that societal changes and income are very connected to manufacturers' products and their advertising. Right. Yeah, I said that Pocket Rockets. I said about taking the D-Max off-road. What do you think of DSG gearboxes? I think they're very good. Yeah, I can't fault them. I think they're brilliant gearboxes. I much prefer a manual, but DSG is an impressive bit of kit and something I experience quite often at work because, of course, I work for a German car specialist repair garage. That's a really nice comment. Thank you, Steve. Thanks for all your videos this year. Keep up the good work and Merry Christmas to you and your family. Yeah, thank you, Steve. Same to you. Yeah, Merry Christmas to you and your family as well. And thanks for lovely comments like that. That does genuinely go a long way. Yeah, it's not easy producing the amount of content I do, particularly when I do this around a full-time job of which I can work up to 50 hours a week, and on top of that, I've got a baby as well. So yeah, my life is far from uneventful or boring. So there's always something fighting for my attention. So yeah, so to get comments like that is much appreciated. Yeah, and you guys do genuinely keep me going. There have been times in the past where I've been quite close to giving up, and I get lovely supports from you guys, and it helps to pick me back up and yeah, keep me going. So I'm all for comments like that. Um, I'm pleasantly surprised about the interaction. I say that almost every year, but no, I'm surprised by the interaction I have got, because this was short notice. Short notice. I didn't really do much. I didn't do much to promote this. This was kind of like, oh, I'm going live at this time. Just join me. So I'm just reading one comment very carefully because I've been caught up before. So I'm just filtering the comment through the many areas of my brain. I think that's safe. So someone called Rakesh wants a shout out. Hello. Sorry, I had to think long and hard about that because I've been caught up before. That happened last year, in fact, where someone was trying to get me to read out names that weren't really names, and I got caught out. I don't know how you managed to do all this, full-time job and family commitments as well. Really enjoy your output. Happy Christmas to you and your family. Rob, again, another great comment. Thank you so much. I don't know how I do it, in all honesty. There's been times where if I were to explain how I do what I do, it's like I can't. It's difficult to put into words or to explain. If an alien just beamed down from space, well, first I'd be more surprised about that more than anything. But if an alien did beam down from space and they wanted me to explain how I do a YouTube channel with what I have going on, I would just stutter and go, I don't know. And I'll just get ready for the probing. Right. Where are we? Thank you. Love your videos, mate. No worries. Thank you for watching. Yeah, can't believe I've been talking for so long. I could do something to lubricate my throat, but that tea is long gone. Let's put my laptop on charge because that's starting to lose a bit of battery. So yeah, I'll be going no later than 8 o'clock, which is plenty. Well, I say plenty. It's been, I think some of my streams have gone on for 2.5 hours, believe it or not. Yeah, how I've been able to hold your attention for that long is beyond me. But yeah, it's just nice just to jump on here and talk rubbish for God knows how long. Oh, Figaro's going to come back. Are you going to come onto the table? No. Okay. Yes. I must admit, all this talking has actually tired me out. I look forward to going home and having a much nicer cup of tea and maybe even a beer. So yeah, I hope you're all set for Christmas. I hope you have a wonderful time. Thankfully, we're not in a lockdown yet. Who knows what Boris will announce next week? So I think he's due for some form of announcement. What do you want to change on the channel for 2022? Budget allowing, I'd want to do more cheap car challenges because I love what Car Throttle do, and there's been times where I thought I'd love to do that. So yeah, that's one thing I'd like to do, but of course that costs money, so I do need to be a bit careful with what I do. I want to bring back some of my series. I want to bring them back from the cold, such as Cheap Thrills I mentioned earlier. I really like that series. and I do want to bring that back, but just getting access to cars is difficult. I want to feature more owners' cars, but again, that isn't always as straightforward. For example, there's one bloke I've been speaking to called Lance, and we've been speaking on and off, I kid you not, for about 2 years, and we're still yet to actually put a date in mind, because every time we do have a date, things have to be changed for whatever reason. And it's been so long since I first spoke to him that he's now changed cars. He did originally have a Brabus Roadster, and no, hang on, I'm getting confused now. Yeah, he had a Brabus Roadster and a Bath Punto Scorpione, which was a very limited model. Not many were made. I want to say, no, I think it was more than 5, but basically it's an Abarth printer that's all blacked out, and it's a special edition. In fact, I don't think I've ever seen one in real life, so very, very rare. He's chopped both of them in now. He's now got a Citroen DS3 Racing, which again is rare. I've only ever seen one, maybe two, in the wild. And he's also got an Evo 6, I think. So I'm hoping to drive both of those at some point, or at least feature them on the channel. But getting dates is tricky. There's a bloke called David with a Renault Clio V6. Again, trying to get a date with him has been very tricky. I've been speaking to him for, that must be getting on for almost 2 years as well. So sometimes getting access or trying to get owners to get a date that matches with you is quite difficult. So yeah, so I'd like to do more of that. I'd like to do some more track days in 2022, or maybe some more like road trips or some road trips. What do you think of the Cupra Ateca? Nearly had one instead of the CRV. I think the Cupra Ateca is a great car. I really like them. I was lucky enough to drive one a while back. Someone I know called Andy, he was one of the first people in the UK to receive delivery of one, and he was quite happy for me to hoon it about somewhere. Can't remember where we were driving. But anyway, yeah, we I took it out for a good blast in pretty shoddy conditions, and yeah, that was good fun. I'd much rather have that than a CRV. CRV is a very practical car. It's a very sensible car. You can't really compare the two cars, in all honesty, because the Cupra Ateca is a performance SUV, and the Honda CRV is much more straight-laced, much more sensible in its approach. Do you use drones for capturing? I do, but not as often as I'd like, because trying to use a drone in the UK is tricky because the weather conditions are so sporadic and unpredictable. And my drone, I've got a Mavic Pro. My drone's quite temperamental. I think I need to do a factory reset on it. So, yeah, I do use a drone, but sometimes they're more hassle than they're worth. In fact, there have been times where I've contemplated just selling the drone because I don't use it as often as I'd like to. Question from Pocket Rockets. What would you all like Aaron to do on the channel apart from what he does already / planned? Yeah, good question. I've asked that question before, and normally the response I've got is more of the same, really. Drag races, they are fun. Yeah, the problem is though, trying to find somewhere where you can do a drag race legally is so difficult. I know officially Gast does it, but he's got some prior arrangement with some company. You know, they've got some form of working relationship. I don't know the ins and outs of it. Of course, Carwow do a similar thing. So do BOTB. I have looked into it, but trying to find somewhere you can do it is just nigh on impossible. I'm not exaggerating. It is. There are some places where you can hire out an area, but because of insurance and their insurance, they don't allow any kind of racing. Yeah. So as much as I'd love to do track challenges or drag races, the reality is that it's a very, very difficult thing to set up. So yeah, there have been times where I've had it happens very rarely, but I've had people complain that I've not hired a drag strip or whatnot. But the simple truth is it's just really, it's either really difficult, really expensive, or both. Normally it's both. Yeah, it's just nowhere you can really do it. It's not as if you can just stumble upon an abandoned airfield and go, oh yeah, let's have a play about on this. For someone like Top Gear or the Grand Tour or even Carwow, it's a lot easier for them because they've got a budget in which they can dip into, and they've got reputation. I think that's a good way of putting it. I'm not saying I haven't got a reputation, but if I were to go to a venue and go, I want to hire this out for my YouTube channel, they go, okay, what's your YouTube channel? It's Car Obsession. They just shrug their shoulders and go, never heard of it. Whereas if Top Gear come knocking on their door, they're bound to say yes. So it's all about having that influence. As much as I don't really like that word. Well, influence is fine, but influencer is a word I despise. So yeah, if you really want to upset a YouTuber, call him an influencer. That's why I say, because I know quite a few YouTubers that hate that term, including me. Yeah, as Chris says, yeah, lots of health, safety, insurance, and of course the price of hiring. Yeah, it's not a cheap business, and there have been one or two venues in the past that were looking somewhat promising, but they've changed the way how they do things, and I know they no longer offer that kind of service, therefore just can't do it. So yeah, it's tricky. It really, really is, because I'd love to do that kind of thing, because to be able to properly showcase a car's talents in a safe, controlled environment is a lot better than going out for a spirited drive on the road. That's not to say that I drive in an uncivilized manner, because I do try to avoid that. There are some YouTubers, and I'm not here to name names because that's not fair, but there are some YouTubers that drive like a Richard Head. If you catch my drift, they do drive like a Richard Head on the road, and then choose to upload that onto YouTube, where it is for the whole world to see. And I get it, you do want to show, you do want to show the car being pushed a little bit on the road, and maybe just maybe getting the back out a little bit, just a little cheeky bum wiggle. But some YouTubers just drive in a very irresponsible manner and think it's okay to put onto YouTube, but that's their choice. It's not the way how I do things. And there have been times in the past where people have criticized me for not what's that? What is that? Oh, right. Okay, I know what it is. Yeah, people have criticised me for not driving in an exuberant enough manner. I think, well, at the end of the day, it's my driving license, not yours. Therefore, I'm not going to risk it. It's so difficult to build up a working relationship with brands that I'm not going to just cock it up just because some random YouTube commenter wants me to drive at a stupid speed. It's simply not worth it. More of versus videos category wise. Yeah, that is something that we are, Chris and I are working toward next year. Of course, we're doing the i30N versus Focus ST. So that should. Sorry, excuse me. Oh, I couldn't stifle that yawn. That'll be good fun. So I look forward to that. So I'm genuinely knackered. The last few weeks have been quite arduous at work, and I think now that I've kind of stopped for Christmas, it's all catching up with me. I'll probably be in bed by 8:30 tonight. I'll probably miss Top Gear, so I'll have it on record. By the way, now I was having just quickly, I want to maybe strike up a bit of a debate here. Now, my dad and I were talking last night about the latest Grand Tour special, Carnage à Trois, and of course the latest series of Top Gear. I say series because 5 episodes is hardly a series, is it? But here's a question for you guys. Out of the two, what have you preferred watching? What have you found more entertaining, or just more? What's held your attention better? The latest Grand Tour special, or the latest stuff that Top Gear have been making? Just want to throw the cat amongst the pigeons, so to speak. Yeah. So whilst you have a think about that, I'm just going to come to Steve's comment. Yeah, agree. Well, he's named someone. I haven't. Just want to put that out there. Yeah, agree. LFF on borrowed time racing on the street. It will end in tears. Well, again, I'm not here to name names, so, but yeah. But the thing is, it's whatever YouTubers want to put on their channel, it's up to them. And Ricky, if you are watching, which is unlikely, you've probably got better things to do. I'm not having a dig at anyone in particular. I'm just saying it's just not my style, and I'm just going to leave it there. You know, it's, as a topic I don't want to get too involved in. Yeah, going back to the Top Gear versus Grand Tour. Now, I was disappointed by the lockdown one, the one I did in Scotland. It was good for the most part, but the ending was just woeful. It was for me, it was like a joke that built up to a really rubbish punchline. That's how I kind of view the lockdown one. Canage à Trois, the one focusing on French cars, of course, I thought was considerably better. It had a better ending as well, and I did enjoy it. But it's weird with the Grand Tour, even when they were doing the studio based stuff. There's not many episodes that I think, yes, I would go back and rewatch it. Not because it wasn't good. It's just that I don't find the Grand Tour stuff as memorable or as quotable, as referenceable as the proper old Top Gear. Amount of times where I'd be at home, not much going on, and I'd flick over to Dave, and it'd be an old Top Gear episode. And I'm like, yeah, oh, I remember this one. Yeah, this one was so funny. Yeah, if the same thing happened with the Grand Tour, granted, you wouldn't see it on Dave because it's on Amazon Prime, of course. I don't think I'd be as compelled to go, oh yeah, I'll watch this, which is weird because I wouldn't say there's anything wrong with the Grand Tour. It's just, for me, I just think that old Top Gear was better. And that is, of course, an opinion. But I don't know what it is. It's just from them going to Amazon Prime. I don't know whether it was because they just had unlimited money, or I don't know. Just something was missing, but I don't quite know what it was. Maybe it's just because I just didn't like the change. But yeah, I thought the latest Grand Tour was good. I enjoyed it. My dad didn't enjoy it as much. He said, "Oh, there's a few funny moments in there, but yeah, I've actually preferred the Top Gear, which is really surprising." But I quite enjoyed the latest series of Top Gear. I must admit the one with the EV and those caravans was, I thought it was quite boring. Yeah, that was one that I could have taken or left in all honesty. Pardon me, excuse me. Yeah, mainly because I've got no interest in caravanning. You know, who in their right mind has got an interest in caravanning? And EV cars, as I said earlier, just don't do much for me. In fact, you know, I'm half tempted to, after I've done my Mackie content, I'm half tempted not to review any EVs going forward, which I know is kind of shooting myself in the foot because more and more cars will be EV. But it's difficult to review something that you don't really believe in because for a long time, I've had the view of I don't believe electric cars are the future. And I've tried them. I've tried living with electric cars. So it's not as if I've just knocked something before I've tried it. But I think, again, if you haven't watched it, I don't want to give too much away, but I think the trip Chris and I, Pocket Rockets, and I did with the Mach-E recently, I think that was proof that EVs simply aren't ready yet. And if I owned an electric car, it just wouldn't work because I can't charge it at home and I can't really charge it at work either. I could, I suppose, get a pod point, but I live in a small block of flats. I don't think having a pod point fitted would be viable. So yeah, for me, an EV car in my current stage of life wouldn't make sense. But hey, we are moving more and more toward EV, whether we like it or not. Do you plan on upgrading your camera gear? No, not really, because I've kind of done that in recent times. I had a Canon 80D. I now have a Canon 90D because my 80D was broken. I've got I've actually, I know it's over there. I can't bother, but I've got a G7X Mark II, which is a very good camera. Not the newest one, because there's now a G7X Mark III, but I don't feel the need to upgrade. And I've got multiple GoPros. In fact, I've got Hero 4, Hero 6, or whatever it is, Hero Session, Hero 5 Session, Hero 9, Hero 7, Hero 7. So yeah, so I've got 8 GoPros, and I've got my drone, which, like I said, I don't really use as often as I'd like to. No, I don't feel the need to upgrade my gear, because I've spent a lot of money on that throughout the years, and at this stage, I'm not filming in 4K. I tried it once with the D-Max, and it just wasn't worth the effort, particularly when I actually did an Instagram poll, and the majority of people didn't actually notice the difference in quality, which was interesting and also frustrating, because it took me ages to do that D-Max video, because as you can imagine, 4K files are a lot larger than HD, so it took a long time to get that video edited and up, and only for people to go, I didn't notice the difference. But I suppose when you've got a lot of people who watch YouTube videos on their phones, I suppose you're not really going to notice the lack of the increase of definition as much, as opposed to if you were watching on a TV or perhaps a laptop. I stopped watching Top Gear when Clarkson left, because I can't stand Paddy and Flintoff. Harris, the only petrol head worth watching. Grand Tour, much better. To be fair, as much as the new Top Gear is more entertainment based, and you could argue that towards the end, the Clarkson, Hammond, May era of Top Gear was entertainment based, but there's still proper motoring journalists. Whereas Paddy McGuinness, motoring journalist, no. Freddie Flintoff, motoring journalist, no. Chris Harris, yes, bona fide motoring journalist. For me, I'd say the new Top Gear was at its peak with Matt LeBlanc. Okay, he's not a motoring journalist, but he's a proper petrol head. Rory Reid and Chris Harris. I think that was a really good formula, but unfortunately, LeBlanc stepped down and Rory Reid went off to do other things, Auto Trader, for example. I do like the lack of budget that used to have on Top Gear. Feel it added character. If you didn't know, BBC have uploaded all the Top Gear series onto iPlayer. Yeah, maybe going back to what I was saying earlier, maybe that's part of it, because obviously where they've made the Grand Tour and they've got almost unlimited money, maybe that's kind of taken the charm out of it. Because I used to love the cheap car challenges on Top Gear. In fact, those are probably my favorite bits of Top Gear. For example, well, it wasn't a cheap car challenge as such, but one of my favorite Top Gear episodes is the British Leyland challenge, because there's just certain parts in that even now they just make me laugh out loud. I just think they're brilliant. But I love the cheap car challenges on Top Gear. Those for me are probably my favorite thing about Top Gear, and that's probably why I love Car Throttle so much, because I love cheap car challenges. Just seeing what kind of shenanigans they get up to, seeing their failures, seeing just seeing how bad a car they can buy, and sometimes you can get a real gem. Yeah. Jeremy Clarkson's written articles are quite good. As for new Top Gear, I'd much rather if it was only Chris Harris, Rory Reid, and maybe Johnny Smith or Tiff Needell. Yeah, I think really Top Gear should have proper motoring journalists, but that's just again an opinion. But to be fair, I'd much rather have the Paddy McGuinness, Freddie Flintoff, and Chris Harris era of Top Gear, as opposed to having the Chris Evans, Matt LeBlanc, Sabine Smits, rest in peace, Rory Reid, Eddie Jordan. They had 6 presenters, didn't they? I'm missing one. See, I can't even think of who they had because they had too many. Wasn't there 6 of them? So Sabine Smits, Eddie Jordan. I'm missing someone. Who am I missing? Who am I missing? I'm having to Google it. Not unless I've counted the Stig as number 6. Hang on, I'm just jumping onto Google. Jason Dorr, remember him? He was on Top Gear years and years ago. No, maybe it was. I think I've counted the Stig. But either way, there's too many cooks, and I did try to give Chris Evans a chance, but my word was he irritating. So I was so glad when he stepped down. Don't forget Fifth Gear, better than Top Gear. You know what? I haven't watched Fifth Gear in ages. I'm talking years. So I can't really base an opinion on that. Do you prefer shooting indoors with shooting outdoors in daylight? It depends what I'm shooting, I suppose, but well, shooting outside with daylight, surely. Oh, sorry, he's just rewritten his question. Do you prefer shooting indoors with room lighting, or is it just outdoor shooting in daylight? Well, because I do car reviews, I have tried to fit a car in my living room, and it didn't go to plan. I know it's much easier to film a car outdoors. So I don't mean to sound flippant. I just don't quite understand your question, if I'm going to be honest. Because if I'm doing car reviews, you have to do them outside in daylight. So again, apologies if I've completely missed your point. So I feel like I have. I'm not trying to be rude. I just don't quite understand the question. But I'd much rather shoot outside in daylight. 7:30. My word, I've been going for an hour and a half. How have you guys not fallen asleep? I'm close to falling asleep. I'll tell you that for nothing. Normally, I'd be having a nice cheeky beer with this live Q&A, but I need to drive home after I've finished. And yeah, if I'm driving, I don't really like to drink anything. I won't even have just a cheeky one beer. I've got to an age where if I'm driving, I'll try to avoid any alcohol, even if I can have one beer. So yeah, that's why I've had to suffer with that subpar cup of tea. You can't even call it a cup of tea. Just no. I think I might start to get ready to wrap up. Although I say that, normally, if you're new to these, normally what happens is I start to wrap up, then all of a sudden we start a brand new conversation, and I talk for another half an hour. But no, like I say, 8 o'clock is the maximum. I'm going to stay on here until, because I want to get home. I want to get ready to watch the new Top Gear. And I've still got plenty of Christmas presents to wrap. Well, I say that it's only Patsy's. She's done the rest because she can actually wrap, whereas I can't. My wrapping looks like Stevie Wonder had a go with his hands behind his tied behind his back. Yeah, my wrapping skills leave a lot to be desired. Oh, I see. Right. Okay. I'm just rereading your question. So, what do you, do you mean for me to watch? I think that's probably where I'm going wrong. I think I was thinking of what you meant when I film. I've never really given it much thought. Sometimes it isn't quite nice to see a car actually in a studio with proper lighting. So it does give you a different perspective. But I quite like both, in all honesty. What car are you looking forward to drive / see in 2022? For me, it's the new Civic Type R. I'm really excited about driving the new i30M, because for me, hot hatches, they have to have a manual gearbox. But I've heard so many good things about the DCT and the i30N that I'm intrigued to see what it has in store. Yeah, I've heard nothing but good things. Of course, it does make the car faster. There's no escaping that. But I much prefer a proper old school manual, particularly when you bear in mind that in 10 years to come, how many cars on the market will be manual? Probably none. That's actually quite a sad realization. Um, but yeah, no, I'm looking forward to the new i30M. Hopefully, I'll be able to get the i20N at some point. I've asked Hyundai for that, and the Kona N. Recently, I had the Kona N line, which actually was more enjoyable to drive than I was expecting. It's got a really sweet six-speed manual gearbox, very hot hatching. I love that. Whereas the Kona N, from memory, you can only have that with the DCT, which is a little bit disappointing. But hey, oh, that's literally how I feel after the last few weeks. I've just had so much going on, barely a moment to catch my breath. I just like, I'm literally gonna go home, get in my dressing gown, and just vegetate on the sofa like that. Some dribble might even come out. Um, the thing is, though, I get where you're coming from, but for me to get access to a studio is nigh on impossible. If I did have access to that, it'd be a lot of money, and I simply don't have that kind of money to pump it into the channel. I'm quite open with how much I earn from YouTube, which, spoiler alert, isn't much. On average, per month, from ad revenue, I get somewhere in the region of 200 to £250 per month, and I can guarantee that even for just one studio session, it'll be more than that. So it just wouldn't be financially viable. Now, I do know another YouTuber called Auto Social UK. Her name's Tish. She works for a car dealership, and she's lucky enough to have access to not quite a studio, but one of those revolving turn plates that you can put cars onto to take photos. I must admit, I would love to have access to that, but she's all the way up in Essex, and that just isn't a viable option for me. I don't even know if I would even be allowed to use it. But yeah, don't get me wrong, I'd love to have a studio environment, but for a channel of my size, with my resources and my budget, that's almost a non-starter, because I just simply couldn't afford that. The only way I could um, the only way I could implement that into my videos is by using the specified B-roll from the manufacturer, which I don't, as a general rule, I don't like doing. I don't like using manufacturer's B-roll in my video, because A, it feels like cheating. B, it kind of feels, dare I say, a bit lazy from someone like me just to use someone else's footage. And C, because that's shot by proper professionals using proper professional equipment, there's going to be a very clear difference in video quality between what they've produced and what I've produced. I don't want I want my videos to look kind of quite uniform, so it has the same look throughout. Whereas if I'm using manufacturer's footage for sections of the video, it's not going to look the same. It's going to look a little bit disjointed. And don't get me wrong, I have used manufacturer's B-roll in videos, but that's more from a point of necessity, where I haven't had enough footage myself to use my own. For example, when I had the Ford Focus ST Estate, I had one of my cameras stolen. Thankfully, I actually got my camera back, believe it or not, which to this day is still quite amazing. But the thieves kept the SD card, which is very sensible for them, because it would have had incriminating footage on it. Because at the time, well, when they took my camera, it would have been recording, so they were quite sensible. But yeah, I was filming near Goodwood, and I had one of my cameras on the side of the road filming me going past. And some of you may have heard this story, so if you have, I do apologise if I'm boring you. But there was this old green. It was like a kind of like electric, like kind of like a metallic / electric green Vitara with a cream roof. I remember the car really vividly. Thank you for joining me there, Rouse Junior. Yeah, Merry Christmas to you and a Happy New Year to you as well. Wherever you're going, I hope you have a good time. And I was going backwards and forwards to get my shots, and this green, not Jimny, Vitara was also going backwards and forwards. Now, for me, I know why I'm doing that, but for their perspective, it was quite confusing. I thought, why are they going backwards and forwards? At first, I thought they were lost, but it got to a few times where I thought something's not right here. And on one of the bits, I turned around very swiftly and came racing back up as quick as I could. And actually, they'd already taken one of my cameras, because I had two cameras on the roadside, my big DSLR and my compact camera. They had already relieved me of my DSLR, and they were trying to get my compact. So I actually pulled up behind them as they were getting ready to pinch my compact camera. And I knew what they were doing, and they were waving me past. Bearing in mind, we're on the apex of quite a fast corner, so they chose a stupid place to stop, and that's why I put my cameras there in the first place. So I thought, well, who would stop here on the crest of a fast corner, which is A, blind, and B, national speed limit, i.e. 60 miles per hour? But they did. And if you're wondering, well, Aaron, how did you put the cameras there in the first place? I pulled over in the lay-by and walked up and put them down, nice and safe. And then, yeah, they were inviting me to go past. I thought, I'm not going to do it because I know exactly what you're doing. If I drive past you, you're going to nick my other camera. So I just stood there and, arms crossed. Well, I'm not moving, so I know exactly what you're doing. So in the end, they gave up and left my compact where it was. And then what unfolded was essentially a car chase along some tight country lanes. And I was trying to ring the police whilst I was doing it on the hands free, but I couldn't because I was in an area of no signal. And I chased them for what must have been around a mile. And I thought, what am I doing? When will this end? Will they stop? Yeah, at the time, I wasn't really thinking straight. But we got to a point where got that one country lane where it opened up a bit more. And this green Vitara stopped. I thought, oh crap, because there was three blokes in there, all of which looked quite burly, and I'm not a violent man. If someone came to me for a fight, I'd run away. No, I've got no shame in saying that. I'm a lover, not a fighter. I thought, hang on, what's just happened is they've stopped in front of me. I'm by myself. There's three of them. They could have weapons for all I know. I don't know. And much to my relief and my surprise, a door opens. I think, oh God, what's going to happen? This is where I get beaten half to death. And lo and behold, they take the camera out with the tripod. It was quite a relatively expensive tripod. They could have kept that, but they didn't. And they just almost delicately put the camera back onto the grass. And then I waited for them to drive off. So I thought, if I get out now, this is the perfect time for them to come and beat the crap out of me. So I waited for them to drive off. I leapt out of the car, grabbed the camera, jumped back into the car. It's all working okay. It's all good. But, of course, the SD card had been taken. So, yeah, long story short, I lost a lot of footage. But looking back, I was damn lucky. I don't know how I got the camera back. I think part of it is, some of you may scoff at this, I think it's down to the fact I was driving a Ford Focus ST Estate, because if you think about it, there are police forces that use a similar kind of vehicle. Granted, this one was thank you, Steve, thank you for joining me. Bearing in mind this was performance blue, so quite a bold colour, but for all they know, I could have been a plainclothes policeman. Maybe that's why they stopped, but I didn't have any sirens on, obviously, because the car wasn't fitted with those. That particular press car didn't have that optional extra. But I look back on it, I do think if I'd been driving a different car, would they have stopped? If I was driving a 1 litre Nissan Micra, for example, would they have stopped? That thought, well, I say often, that thought does cross my mind from time to time. But yeah, I can't quite remember how I got onto that. I think I started talking about my camera gear, wasn't I? Asish Sawant. I hope I pronounced it correctly. I probably made a complete hash of it. Best wishes for Christmas from India. Look at that. Got a viewer all the way from India. That's exciting. It's always good when you get people comment from all different parts of the world. It's quite amazing, really. It's the wonder of the internet. Say what you like about it. There are some bad things about the internet, but you can't deny it does bring people together, which is fantastic. But the time now is 7:45. I am going to start wrapping up because, like I said, I do want to aim to leave this flat by 8 o'clock. I need to give Figaro some more food. He's just lounging about on the seat over there. He looks very comfortable. I wish I was that comfortable. That'd be lovely. No, thank you for listening to me waffle on. But yeah, nowadays I'm very careful about where I leave my cameras because once bitten, twice as shy. Although I had been doing that for quite a few years, and that's the first issue I've had. I've left cameras on the side of the road many a time, and I've shot loads of videos. Before that happened. But nowadays, there's only really one road I like to use for leaving my cameras by because A, I can leave them in a bush so they're a bit hidden, and B, the camera is almost never out of my eyesight. Whereas the place where I used to use on that corner, the camera would be out of my eyesight for quite a few moments, and that obviously leaves opportunists to go, that looks expensive. I'm having that. That's going to go on eBay. But yeah, I've got the cameras back. All's well. That ends well. And that was just a warning, really. I know there are a few YouTubers that also do what I do, leave their cameras on the side of the road. But so thankfully, thankfully for other YouTubers that they, for example, I know Car Focused, the roads he uses, there's not a living soul for miles around. So, well, I mean, it's not too bad. Whereas for me, the places I use, although you don't get a large amount of traffic coming through, there's enough for it to pose a risk. No, thank you for watching the Q&A. I do, yeah, I'm glad you enjoyed it because, like I say, it's been almost 2 hours of me just waffling on. Just think about all the movies you could have watched in this time. You could have really entertained yourself. So I am genuinely grateful that you've joined me for this all nigh on 2 hour session of me just sat at a computer talking away at you. So yes, right. You know what? I think that's a very good note on which to end. Yeah, thank you so much for joining me. Like I said, I know this was very short notice, arguably poorly planned, but you guys have overwhelmed me with interaction, so that's fantastic. And no dodgy comments this year, which is good because last few years I've had a few iffy comments, which has kind of ruined the experience a little bit. But no, everyone was on their best behavior tonight, so that's fantastic. Again, thank you for joining me. Thank you for your support. It is greatly appreciated. Yeah, I hope you have a wonderful Christmas. I hope you have a wonderful New Year, and there will be plenty of car obsession content coming your way. And yes, this Sunday at 6 p.m. Yeah, there will be a reveal, a video that I'm really excited about sharing with you because it's the kind of video I'd like to make more of in the future. But I'm not going to say any more because I don't want to ruin any surprises. But yes, have a very, very Merry Christmas. Thank you for joining me. And yeah, I should really do these more often. I think originally I planned to do one in the summer and I forgot. But yes, yeah, thank you so much for joining me. And I will end it there. Until the next time, have a good one, guys. Keep up the car obsession. And yes, have a Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year.